In topic 3 of chapter 5, we're going to be multiplying polynomials. And again, various techniques of what we've done before will be pulled together. So we'll get started here. Now in example 1, we're dealing with monomials. So this is sort of a monomial here. They are actually factors now, but single terms. And how do we do it? Well, we multiply the numbers. 4 times 2 is 8. And we add the exponents on the variables. Again, determining the sign that the n product will have is an important skill. So negative times a positive, your answer is going to be a negative. Then it's 3 times 5 is 15. And then t, add your exponents. Now here we have a negative and a positive. So our answer is going to be negative. And it's, let's get my calculator out here, I haven't used it for a while. 4.5, 4.2 I should say, times 5.1. And it gives us a negative 21.42. And then our exponents on the variable, add them, x to the 8th. Again, you're checking out your signs. This is a negative times a positive, so your answer is going to be a negative. And notice you can do some cross-canceling. 7 goes there once, 7 goes there once, 2 goes there once, 2 goes there 4 times. So you're going to have a negative 1/4, and then a to the 11th. You don't want to not have the correct sign when you do things, because that's counted wrong. And a good technique would be determine the sign before you start. That way you know the sign is going to be correct. Okay, continuing. Now we're going to multiply a monomial, which is this out here, by a polynomial, which is what is inside the parenthesis. And if you recall from chapter 1, I believe, we talked about the distributive principle, and that's what we're doing. Again, negative times positive will give you a negative, and then 5 times 12 is 60. A and A, there's a 1 by each one. Add them, a to the 2nd. Now, this is going to be a 5 times a negative 6, which gives you a negative 30. There's no a there, but there is one there. So you have to bring that along, a to the 1st. And this is going to be a negative 28. X, add your exponents to the 4th. And this is a positive 4, x to the 3rd. In letter C, we have 6 times 8 is 48, but a negative y. 4 plus 5 is 9. Now we have a negative times a negative. That's going to give us a positive 6 times 12, 72. Y to the 5 plus 2, y to the 7th. And I check those, we're good. Okay, 3 times 3 is 9. A to the first times A to the first is A to the second. B to the 7th times B to the 3rd, add them, B to the 10th. Now, 3 times a negative gives us a negative 36. Now, there is no A there, but there's one there, so we bring that. And then B to the 7th, B to the 2nd, B to the 9th. And again, this is going to be a negative 12, A to the 2nd, B to the 7th. And I check that and we're good. All right, so let's move it up a little bit. We're now going to multiply binomials. So these are two terms. In a sense, this is a factor that's multiplied by this factor that will give us a product. Now, there's a number of ways to do these. And in our next lesson, we're going to do what they call the FOIL. But here, they want us to just work with some typical ways of doing this. So, this is a binomial times a binomial. The rule is you take the first term of the first binomial and multiply it by this. Then take the second term of the first binomial and multiply it by that. So we just distribute like we did before. X squared minus 5x plus 3x minus 15. Now we have two like terms in the middle, so we then join those. This gives us a negative 2x minus 15. Now this then becomes a trinomial that we have gotten as a result of multiplying two binomials. This is the factored form of this trinomial. And you might say, why am I spending all that time? Because later in your next course, you're going to take this and factor it back into what you have there. So we are multiplying, but later you're going to factor this. So it's sort of a useful thing to remember where this came from and how you did it. Now, another way to do these, and they're going to talk about it here vertically, and I'm going to stress this because I think this is really important. This is the way you should do it. So let's set this one up here. 3x squared. Now you could do it the way we just did the other, but you can also do it this way. And be sure you copy it down correctly. Now I'm setting this up vertically, even though they want us to do more of that horizontal. Horizontal is good, but vertical I think is better. And what happens here now? Well, we're going to multiply this 5 times this 4. So positive times a negative gives you a negative 20. Now I'm going to multiply this 5 times this, and that's going to be 15x squared. Now I'm going to multiply this term by this 4. And I have to put it in like term columns. That's what I think is going to be useful. So this becomes a negative 8x to the third. Remember, since they are not like terms, we put them in their own column. And now this one is going to be 6x to the fifth. Now keep in mind you can do it horizontally too, the way we did this one. But I like this. So we just add them up now. 6x to the fifth minus 8x to the third plus 15x squared minus 20. And that may be down there if we got to it. No, we have to go up a little higher. Okay. Now, in this next one, they want us to square this binomial. Now, for this, and I'll be showing you this in the next lesson too, there is a recipe. One way to do it is just to write it again, and you can do it horizontally, or you can do it vertically, but there is a special way to square a binomial. And the rule is, let me show it to you over here, a plus b, the quantity squared. The rule is you square this first term. So we're going to square this first term and get x squared. Now the next part of the recipe is to multiply these two together and then double it. So we get a plus ab, but double it, we get 2ab. So we're going to multiply this together and we get 3/4 x, right? We're multiplying 3/4 times x, 3/4 x, and we're just now going to multiply it by 2. So when we multiply it by 2, this becomes a 1, and this becomes a 2. So we get for our middle term here plus 3/2 x. And then we square this last term, and that just becomes b squared. Well, we're going to square this fraction, and this 3 times 3 is 9, and 4 times 4 is 16. So this is letter G here. Let's see if we can find it right here. Now, notice how they left this. I would think they'd count that wrong because they didn't simplify. Okay? They just multiplied 2 times 3 is 6/4 without simplifying it. So I think they would count that wrong, but again, they're trying to show you something. All right. Now for this next one, let's set it up this way. 1 minus 5x and 2 minus 3x. Again, we're going to do this vertically. So this times this is a positive 15x squared. And this times this is a negative 3x. Now this times this is a negative 10x. And this times this is a 2. Now notice we've put them in like term columns. That's usually how you're going to find them. And we get then a 2, a negative 13x plus 15x squared. So that's letter H. Now another thing is they've written it with the 15x squared first. That's all right to write it that way. In fact, that's the preferred way to put your higher degree first, highest degree, and then descending. Here we have it in ascending, but I would give you full credit for that. Now, here is where it's particularly useful to do it vertically. In fact, this one and this one are very similar. So let me do this one up here. Y squared plus 6y minus 3, and then y minus 12. So we go negative 12 times negative 3 is a positive 36. Negative 12 times a positive 6 is a negative 72y. Negative 12 times this is a negative 12y squared. Now again, you've set up your like term columns in a sense. So as you multiply this next item, put it in its like term column. Y times negative 3 is a negative 3y. Y times this is a positive now, 6y squared. You're being very careful of the signs. And then out here you get y to the third. Put your line, and now you just add up because they're in like term columns. And again, you want to work on accuracy. And notice your variables don't change. So this was letter I, and letter I is right over here. Y squared minus 6. Okay, that looks good. And again, on a test, you want to use the technique that will give you the best accuracy. You should be familiar with the horizontal method as well. Okay, this one is done exactly the same. And now we're going to try this method here again. So A minus B works the same, squared. We're going to square this first term. We're going to square this first term. Now 8 times 8 is 64, A squared, B squared. That's the first term squared. We're now going to multiply these two together, and we use that sign. Negative AB, double it, negative 2AB. So we're going to multiply this together, and we're going to get a negative 8 that we're going to double to 16. AB squared. So we're multiplying this times this and getting 8AB squared and doubling it. That's where we get the 16. And then out here, we're going to square a negative b times negative b. You get AB squared. And here we're just going to get a b squared for letter K. KJ. K right here. Okay, and that's what we got. Now, since we've done these already, and we're showing technique here, these are done exactly the same way. In fact, let me do letter C. We can run it a little bit here. Now, letter C is we have 3 terms. So let's do that up here. Doesn't make any difference which one you put first. X squared plus X plus 7. And our bottom one is going to be X squared plus X plus 1. And now we're going to multiply, starting here, this by each of these. So this is just going to be a 7 plus X plus X squared. Now we're going to multiply each of these by X. So this is going to be plus 7X plus X squared plus X cubed. And now each of these by X squared. So this is going to be plus 7X squared. This is going to be X cubed. And this is going to be X to the 4th. X squared times X squared. So you're going to get 3 rows and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. But now everything is lined up. So we get a 7. Remember there's a 1 there, so this is plus 8x. There's a 1 there and a 1 there, so this is plus 9x squared. This a 1 and a 1, so this is plus 2x cubed, and this is x to the 4th. So we multiplied a trinomial by a trinomial. And again, I wouldn't ever do this horizontally. You got a really long line, terms all over the place. So you want to have a strategy to make it as accurate as you can. And let's just check our answer here. I think we got it right. Yep, perfect. Okay, we'll go on to topic 4. Now, topic 4 is not really included in our curriculum sometimes, but it is an important skill, so we'll review it.